Happy Black History Month, everyone. It's your boy Brock here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Judas and the Black Messiah. This film was just released on HBO Max and in theaters nationwide. Let's talk about it. Judas and the Black Messiah was directed by Shaka King in what seems to be his biggest project to date. King is an up-and-coming director that primarily focused on the genre of comedy, but he seems to be stepping away from that for a bit because there's very little to laugh about in this newest work. Although based on real events, the story was written by King, Will Burson, and Keith and Kenny Lucas, also known as the famous comedy duo, the Lucas Brothers. Fun fact, King reminds me a lot of Jordan Peele here in the sense that Peele also stepped away from comedy to write a very serious work starring LaKeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out, and now King seems to be doing the same with Judas and the Black Messiah. Not to mention the fact that both of these films are very well done. Judas and the Black Messiah follows William O'Neill, carjacker extraordinaire, as his luck finally runs out and he is forced to either work with the FBI or go to prison. It's a simple enough choice, and O'Neill agrees to infiltrate the Black Panther Party to get close to Fred Hampton, the party's chairman, before inevitably betraying him. I went into this film unfamiliar with the story of Fred Hampton and his role within the Black Panther Party. We don't see many films that focus on this faction of the civil rights movement, and you know we're not going to learn about this stuff in school. Thankfully, Shaka King studied this event in history for 3 years before filming, and even consulted Fred Hampton Jr. and his mother, Akua Njeri, formerly known as Deborah Johnson, to ensure that the movie was accurate and did their story justice. Hampton Jr. was on set for 90% of the production and was satisfied with how the film turned out. This movie was perfectly cast. Starting with the Messiah himself, we often see Fred Hampton doing what he does best, giving speeches, teaching, and inspiring the Black Panthers that he leads. They are trained like soldiers and are not afraid to arm themselves and fight to protect their community. Hampton preaches anti-racism, healthcare, and the end of police brutality. Daniel Kaluuya just captivates from the very beginning, confidently showcasing Hampton's passionate rhetoric and profound take on politics, all the while doing an excellent job at replicating Hampton's unique dialect. My only complaint is that you don't get to spend enough time with him. This is not a biopic following his entire life's journey, and it's essentially William O'Neill's movie, the aforementioned Judas. LaKeith Stanfield brilliantly portrays O'Neill, a tortured man who walks a very dangerous tightrope where at any minute the Black Panthers could realize he's a traitor and possibly kill him for it. LaKeith does excellent work as the leading man here. Even though O'Neill is clearly going to betray some good people, you understand that he's only working against the Panthers so that he can stay a free man. It's thrilling to see if he can overcome these challenges and how he could do so. I've linked a few interesting articles down in the description, and one of them goes into great detail about how difficult it was for Stanfield to play this character. There were days where he would break down crying on set or had to go to the hospital for high blood pressure. It took a huge toll on him to embody such a pained character. As an actor, I understand how difficult it can be to play someone that goes against everything you stand for, and I just hope Stanfield can win some awards and have a nice, fun, lighthearted film after this one. O'Neill finds small comfort when working with Agent Roy Mitchell, played by Jesse Plemons. The movie feels very much like The Departed at times because of this back and forth between the worlds that's on display here. Plemons always nails it as the villain, but his role is often overshadowed by J. Edgar Hoover, played by Martin Sheen. Hoover only appears a few times throughout the film, but he shows an absolute disregard for black life, and he is easily the most despicable character in the film by far. You often see the FBI manipulating these young black men, turning them against each other, and inciting most of the violence throughout this film. It can be hard to watch at times, especially since it's so accurate to what was happening during the civil rights movement. Finally, we have Dominique Fishback playing Deborah Johnson, Hampton's fiancée and sister-in-arms. Fishback does a phenomenal job here. She really is the heart of the film, and whenever she has a scene alone with Kaluuya, I realized that I was witnessing a masterclass in acting from her. The relationship was sincere, and I found myself rooting for them to last. That being said, we don't get to see her interacting with many other characters besides Hampton, and that really is a shame. Deborah Johnson is just a really interesting person, and I would have liked to see more of her and what she contributed to the Black Panther Party. That being said, the film has a lot of ground to cover, so it moves through the plot very quickly. Coming in at 2 hours and 8 minutes, it ricochets satisfyingly between suspense and action. I was on the edge of my seat for the whole second half, rooting for Hampton, somehow hoping for a different ending than what actually happened. A lot of viewers will go into this movie not knowing anything about these events, much like myself, but all throughout I found myself invested in these characters. I think that this film is elevated because these are normal, everyday people just trying to live their lives, and then they're forced into a world of heartbreak and violence. Fred Hampton forms a rainbow coalition of citizens, and he wants nothing more than to lift them out of poverty and free them from their blind hatred, but all the while, you know he is going to fail. A lot of these issues are still prevalent today, and because of that, I think this movie hits hard. By the time that the credits are rolling, you will be moved. Whether you're angry or sad or shocked, this movie will affect you, and there's not much more that you can ask from a film. And that's why I give Judas and the Black Messiah a must-watch. Watching this movie will give you a small peek into American history and will provide a lot of context as to what is currently going on around us politically. Unfortunately, films like this are some of the only ways that we can learn about the struggles of deep-seated division, poverty, and of course, African American history. The information is out there, but it can be hard to find or even want to look at. Honestly, Judas and the Black Messiah could potentially be triggering for a lot of viewers. It contains scenes of extreme violence and shows off a very traumatic moment in US history. I know that for me, as a biracial black man in America, some of these scenes just physically hurt to watch. These events are so recent that you're watching your parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles fight each other over what they believe to be right. All in all, as difficult as it may be, there's a lot to gain from watching a film like this, so consider stepping out of your comfort zone and seeing what our relatives went through. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and please leave a comment. I want to hear your thoughts on this film, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, or if you plan on seeing it anytime soon. And remember, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Alright, now let's start making films about every other civil rights leader. Fred Hampton is great, but black women have been extremely underrepresented even though they made the civil rights movement happen. Leaders like Diane Nash, Ella Baker, Joanne Robinson, and so many others deserve their time in the spotlight. I personally love Bayard Rustin, the man who mentored MLK and debated Malcolm X on multiple occasions. These ideas are free, Hollywood, just make the movies happen. And yes, I am available for filming. Thank you.